recovering from a breakup can feel so isolating.
Oh, completely. You feel like you're stranded on an island and like nobody speaks your language anymore.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I was actually reading a message earlier from a client of ours. Let's call her Sarah. And she said something that really struck me.
What did she say?
Well, she wrote, it's actually helping knowing that there are people out there understanding the struggle. Sometimes it feels like no one cares or understands.
Oh, wow. It just breaks my heart, honestly.
Yeah,
But it's also, it's so common to feel that way.
it really is.
If you're listening to this right now, we just want you to know you aren't alone. We understand the struggle. The heart's healing process is totally unique to you. But, it is happening, even when you can't fully see it yet.
So true. So let's start with those tiny moments, like noticing the plant. When the heavy cloud first starts to lift, what's actually happening on a deeper level? Because people don't usually throw a giant party when they start healing from a breakup. It's much quieter than that.
It is incredibly quiet. The very first sign is when you simply stop feeling, completely empty inside.
Right, just that void.
Yeah, exactly. And here's why that happens. When you're devastated, your brain's internal alarm system is just ringing nonstop.
Oh, 100%. It's deafening.
Right. Your energy is strictly playing defense. You literally don't have the emotional bandwidth to nurture anything outside of your own survival.
You're just trying to breathe.
Exactly. So when your nervous system finally starts to calm down, your energy begins to flow outward again.
That makes so much sense.
That's why you suddenly care about a thirsty plant, or, you step outside, see a sunset, and actually want to pull at your phone to take a picture of it.
Oh, I love that. I always describe this phase to my clients like a desperately dying phone battery.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it.
Yeah, because for weeks or months you've been stuck at 1%. You're just barely keeping the screen on.
Right, just surviving.
Exactly. And then suddenly you plug in and hit 5%. Now, 5% isn't a full charge. You still can't run heavy apps or, do any deep emotional lifting.
No, definitely not yet.
But the screen lights up, you have a little juice, you might feel the urge to, say, go buy a new shirt, or you might finally call a friend for a light, easy chat.
Yes, and, calling that friend is so important at the 5% stage.
Why is that? Why is it so crucial right then?
Well, when we're heartbroken, our instinct is to hide away in a dark room.
Right. Oh, totally. Just pull the covers over your head.
Exactly. But hiding for too long freezes your energy in the past. When you add supportive people back into the mix, you're giving your brain proof that you're still loved.
Oh, wow. That's powerful.
Yeah, it shows you that you still belong to a community. You start focusing on work again, or your hobbies, or just watching a movie without thinking of your ex every 5 seconds.
Right. But wait, I need to bring up something that trips up a lot of my clients here.
Okay, what's that?
Well, I hear people say that their creative side wakes up during this time, like they start journaling intensely, or writing these really agonizing poems, or painting dark pictures about the breakup.
Oh, yes. I see that a lot too.
And some clients ask me, isn't this just wallowing? If I'm writing sad poems about my ex, how is that a sign of healing?
That's such a brilliant question. And there is a massive difference between wallowing and processing.
Right, they're totally different things.
Absolutely. Wallowing is when your mind is just, spinning in circles, right? Yeah. Trapping the painful energy inside your head.
Just replaying the same loop.
Yes, exactly. But when you write a poem, or you paint, or pour your feelings into a journal, you are physically moving that heavy energy out of your body.
Oh, I love that. Moving it out.
You're taking an invisible, suffocating feeling and turning it into something outside of yourself. That means you aren't just a victim to the pain anymore. You're actively digesting it.
That makes so much sense. You're digesting it. But, here's the cruel irony of getting that 5% battery back.
Oh, here we go. The tough part.
Right. Once you step out of that total numbness, you actually have enough energy to feel the pain you've been suppressing.
Yes. Which leads us straight into what we call the uncomfortable middle.
Yes, the messy, uncomfortable middle. This is where people get terrified because they think they're regressing.
Oh, completely terrified. They think they're losing all their progress.
Exactly. I had a reading recently with a client. We'll call her Chloe, and she was right in the thick of this.
It's such a hard place to be.
It is. She told me, I was just thinking of giving up. I'm healing from a lot of childhood traumas and learning to cope with my depression.
Oh, sweetheart. That's so heavy.
It really is. She said, these past days have been really hard for me, and this psychic reading was at the perfect timing for me since a lot of suicidal ideation came up, assuming that I'm getting worse instead of healing.
Wow. That assumption is so common, though.
Right. But then she said, but the psychic made me realize that I'm actually healing. It takes time and patience, but I'm on the right path.
Chloe's realization there is just so profound. What she experienced is a perfect example of how healing actually works.
Right, because it's not a straight line at all.
Not even close.
Yeah.
When you're freshly brokenhearted, you go into shock. You shut down your deepest feelings just to survive the day.
Just running on fumes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But as you get a little stronger, your soul says, okay, we are safe enough now to actually process the heavy stuff.
Oh, wow. We're safe enough now. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So feeling that intense wave of grief or depression isn't a sign of failing. It's actually a sign that your mind finally feels secure enough to let the pain thaw out.
It's just like thawing out frozen hands, isn't it? When the blood flow finally returns from the cold, it burns and stings terribly.
Oh, it hurts so much.
But that pain is the proof that the tissue is alive and recovering.
Yes, exactly.
I actually like to think at this stage like resetting a broken bone. If you break your arm, sometimes it starts to heal crooked, you know?
Ooh, yes, and that's not good.
Right. To fix it, a doctor has to re-break it or shift it back into place. That moment of resetting is excruciating, but it's the only way to get your structural strength back. You can't let your soul heal crooked.
That is a beautiful way to explain it. You really can't let it heal crooked. And, a huge part of ensuring that doesn't happen is setting boundaries.
Oh, boundaries are everything.
They really are.
Yeah.
When you start thawing out, you realize you have to protect your newly returning energy. You start saying no.
You stop answering those late night texts from your ex.
Yes, and let me tell you, people will push back against those boundaries.
Oh, they always do. They hate the new boundaries because it inconveniences them.
Absolutely.
One of our regulars, a lovely woman named Maya, had this incredible breakthrough during a love psychic reading with me.
Oh, I'd love to hear about Maya's reading.
She was dealing with a lot of pushback from her ex's family, and she just boldly said, his family doesn't like me healing.
Wow. She saw right through it.
She really did. She went on to say, I am moving away and never turning back. I deserve better, and so does my future children.
Maya's strength there is just breathtaking. Because, you see, when you're in a toxic dynamic, the people around you get very comfortable with the broken or quiet version of you.
Right, because it serves their needs. It makes them comfortable.
Exactly. When you start setting boundaries and healing, you're changing the unspoken contract of the relationship. Of course, his family didn't like her healing. Her healing meant she was no longer under their control.
It's so true. When you can comfortably upset people in order to protect your own peace, you are making massive strides.
Huge strides, which perfectly transitions us into the next phase, actually.
Oh yes, because setting those fierce boundaries clears all the emotional debris out of your life.
It does. And once the debris is gone, you're left with this quiet, open space to reclaim your inner world.
And this is my favorite part of the journey. In this open space, you finally stop blaming yourself for everything.
Oh, the self-blame is so toxic.
It is. Right after separating or breaking up, it's so easy to just absorb all the guilt. Your brain tries to make sense of the pain by saying, well, if only I had been more patient or, more attractive, this wouldn't have happened.
We've all been there. It's a natural trauma response.
Right. But as you reclaim your inner world, you step back and look at the actual mechanics of the relationship. You realize it takes two people to build a dynamic.
Exactly. You simply cannot carry the blame for both halves of the couple.
Yes. You drop the heavy bags you were never meant to carry, and when you drop them, you get to rediscover who you are outside of the relationship.
It's like meeting yourself all over again.
It really is. I received a message from a client named Elena that captures this beautifully.
What did Elena say?
She wrote, I am slowly coming back to life after a very long heartbreak from a breakup. Growing up unloved and then entering toxic relationship after another caused me to finally break.
Oh, that poor dear. That is so much to carry.
It is. She continued, I left someone who completely destroyed my trust and esteem. I'm slowly working to really discover who I am and how strong I am alone.
Elena is doing the ultimate deep soul work right there. Shifting from needing external validation to finding internal safety.
Yes, internal safety is the goal.
When you first experience a divorce or a painful breakup, your mind is basically a warring country.
Oh, that's a perfect analogy.
Right. One faction of your brain is furious, another faction is weakening, another misses them desperately, and yet another faction is totally terrified of the future.
It's completely exhausting, just constant noise.
It is. But as you heal, you start to negotiate a peace treaty inside your own mind. You stop fighting your own feelings and just let them exist.
You accept the duality. You realize, hey, I can miss them and still know leaving was the absolutely right choice.
Exactly. And the ultimate reward of that peace treaty is freedom.
Total freedom.
I want to share a comment from a client named Linda because it really illustrates the timeline of this piece.
Oh, please do.
Linda told us, "The good news for me is that I am healing after 31 years with a narcissist and only 6 months after being discarded."
Wow. 31 years. That is a lifetime.
It really is. She said, "It's not easy, but the peace and freedom are like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow."
That really puts things into perspective, doesn't it? To find that pot of gold just 6 months after being discarded,
Yes.
it just shows how incredibly resilient the human spirit is once it finally recognizes it's no longer under attack.
Yes, her nervous system finally registered safety. And when you reach that pot of gold, you're essentially walking back through your own timeline and gathering up all the scattered pieces of your soul.
I love that visual.
You take the painful experiences, the beautiful memories, the mistakes, and the lessons, and you integrate them all into one solid, peaceful identity.
So let's say you've done that. You've gathered your pieces, you're genuinely enjoying your own company, and you found that inner peace.
Okay. Yes.
The natural next question clients always ask is, well, how do I know when it's safe to share this piece with someone else?
Right, the dating question.
Exactly. How do you know you're ready to date again without just repeating the same traumatic cycles?
There are a few very clear mechanical signs. The biggest one is that the obsessive energetic cord connecting you to your ex finally dissolves.
Oh, that cord is so stubborn too.
It really is. But when it dissolves, you stop searching for those get your ex back videos online. You stop checking their social media to see if they look miserable without
You
you.
stop waiting around for their new relationship to fail. I see so many people trying to just, buy time until their ex realizes they made a mistake.
Yes, waiting for that apology that might never come.
Exactly. When you finally truly let go of that hope, you free up so much internal real estate.
That's a perfect way to phrase it. Internal real estate. Another huge indicator is how your body reacts to triggers.
Like running into them or seeing a photo.
Yes. Think about the places or memories that used to make you spiral. Can you drive past the restaurant where you had your first date and your heart just stays at a normal resting rate?
Or if you accidentally stumble across an old photo of them, does your stomach still drop into your shoes?
Exactly. When you can encounter those old ghosts and your nervous system doesn't immediately flood with panic, you are incredibly close to being ready.
And what about talking about the past? I always tell people, if you're on a date with someone new and they casually ask about your last relationship, pay attention to your body.
Oh, yes. That's a huge test.
Right. Can you give a calm, simple answer? Or do you completely shut down, build a defensive wall, or, start oversharing and crying into your coffee?
Right. If you can share the story as just a chapter in your book, rather than the only thing defining your existence, it means you have cleared enough inner space to let someone new inside.
But I want to pause and push back on a myth here because it paralyzes so many people.
Okay, let's hear it.
I have clients who think they aren't allowed to go on a single date until they are completely, flawlessly, 100% healed.
Well, I hear that all the time.
They think if they feel a random pang of sadness on a Tuesday, they have to, cancel their date on Friday.
I am so glad you brought that up because that is a toxic myth. Please hear this. You do not have to be 100% perfectly healed to open your heart again.
Say it again for the people in the back.
Seriously,
Yeah.
you just need to be well enough. It might take years for every single residual trace of your past relationship to fade.
Exactly. Scars take time to fade.
Yes, and you do not have to put your entire life on pause until every scar is invisible. It is entirely possible to occasionally feel a sting of sadness about the past while simultaneously building a beautiful, healthy future with someone new.
That is so freeing to hear. But it begs the question, if you don't have to be perfectly healed, how do you know you aren't just using a new person as a band-aid to cover up your loneliness?
That is the million-dollar question. And it all comes down to understanding the psychological difference between an avoidance goal and an approach goal.
Ooh, let's unpack those terms.
Mm.
What does that mean in practice?
Well, an avoidance goal means you are running away from something.
Okay, running away.
Right. You are swiping on dating apps because you want to avoid sitting alone with your thoughts on a Friday night. You want to avoid the silence. You want to avoid the pain of feeling unwanted.
You're just trying to outrun the ghost.
Exactly. If your motivation is just to escape your own mind, you will end up settling for the very first person who pays attention to you. And unfortunately, that new relationship will just become a distraction and eventually your next big heartbreak.
You're essentially treating a new human being like a painkiller.
Precisely. But an approach goal means you are walking towards something wonderful.
I love the sound of that. Walking toward.
Yes. You are dating because your own cup is full, and you genuinely want to share your overflow with someone else. You are curious about learning who another person is.
Right, you aren't just trying to fill a void.
Exactly. You have the emotional energy to show up as your authentic self without hiding your quirks or pretending to be someone you aren't, just to keep them around.
And part of having that full cup means you have the emotional stability to handle rejection. Because dating isn't always magical. Sometimes it's just awkward, and sometimes you hear the word no.
That's the ultimate test. If a mediocre date or a gentle rejection sends you spiraling all the way back into total despair, feeling like you're unlovable and doomed to die alone, well, your emotional immune system might still be a bit too weak.
You might just need a little more time.
Exactly. But if you can handle a disappointment, shrug your shoulders, say, oh, well, they just weren't my person, and go enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Then you know.
You are ready. You are truly healed enough to try again.
What a profound roadmap we've walked through today. We started with the science of that first tiny spark understanding why watering a plant means your survival mode is turning off.
Such an important first step.
It is. And then we explored the messy middle, where we learned from Chloe and Maya that feeling your pain and setting strict boundaries isn't a sign of moving backward.
No, not at all.
It's actually a vital part of resetting your broken bones so they heal straight.
Right? And then we journeyed through reclaiming your inner world, making peace with the warring factions of your mind, and finding Linda's pot of gold.
Which was so inspiring.
And finally, we broke down the mechanics of knowing when your inner real estate is clear enough to pursue approach goals instead of just avoiding the quiet.
Please remember, there is no magic calendar for any of this. Your heart, your timeline, and your energy are entirely unique to you.
Absolutely unique.
Don't rush the thawing process. If you ever feel stuck in the messy middle, or if you just want a wise friend to help you navigate your own personal signs of recovery, our psychic experts are always here to help you at predictmyfuture.com.
We really are.
We can look at your specific energy and help guide you forward.
As we wrap up our time together today, I want to leave you with one final thought to gently mull over.
Oh, I'd love that.
When a relationship ends, we naturally spend so much time and energy grieving the person we lost. We mourn the partner who walked away.
Right, that's where all our focus goes.
But we rarely take the time to celebrate the person the breakup forces us to become.
Wow, I love that so much.
Think about the immense strength it takes to rebuild your soul from scratch. What if this heartbreak wasn't just a tragic ending?
What if it's a beginning?
Exactly. What if it is actually the universe's messy, painful, incredibly effective way of introducing you to the greatest love of your entire life, the truest, most resilient version of yourself?
You started this journey running on 1% battery, just barely surviving the days, but look at how far you've come.
Look at all that progress.
You're finding your spark, you're setting your boundaries, and you're slowly bringing the light back into your world. You are becoming whole again. Keep going. You're doing beautifully, and we are so proud of you.